brilliance even here in the summer split. It just hasn't been quite as consistent, but I love that you brought up those mages in the bottom lane because it's not just Attila, it's also Hjärnan. Both of these players have gone almost exclusively for those mages.
Yeah, there were a few bot lanes that saw the patch changes where the AD carries got nerfed and said, this is fantastic. We now have 10 different picks that are not AD carries we can use, and they can of course still fall back to the standard ones. Like Attila has played Lucian a bit in the last few games, so it's not like they're just stuck on one style. They have a lot of flexibility in what they can do in the draft.
Well, limiting the flexibility a bit, some of those bans that come through, you see some of the playmaking focuses, but it opens up Taliyah to be first picked by G2 eSports.
Zoe for Vitality as a trade then?
Ooh, I'd really like a Zoe here. I think she's the strongest mid laner on the patch, excluding Aatrox, which is just the strongest champion overall on the patch. You got to do it.
All right, easy peasy, it's locked in.
So expecting this Taliyah to go jungle and PerkZ to try and counterpick Zoe, unless they want to funnel the Taliyah, which of course it's G2 eSports. They've done a lot of funnel comps before, and then it would be PerkZ playing it. So there is still some flexibility for G2 in terms of how they want to use Taliyah specifically. I've also seen a bot lane.
Yeah, there's definitely options here with this Taliyah. I still think it's a Jankos pick for me. Give him on something that, you know, isn't necessarily the Braum. Let him do some more carrying himself, but there's still flexibility even with that Gragas lock-in, because we've seen that go both top lane and into the jungle.
Something else we've seen too, PerkZ Yasuo will be an interesting one, but we're not going to see it just yet. Shen's locked in alongside the Gragas.
So most likely we're looking at Shen support, Gragas top lane. I think that the Trundle pick is something we see more and more when you get the early tank picks on the other side. A lot of it is, if it is a tank jungler, you get a big advantage in the 2v2 skirmish around mid lane, which is so important in the meta, because the Trundle obviously against the Gragas can work well.
Right, and I think Gilius too, it's felt like for me, he's wanted to stay towards those spring style picks, like the Trundle. The Skarner's been another one that he's definitely gone for more often than not, but it was just last week that he was on that Trundle making so many early game plays and getting his team a massive advantage.
Braum is interesting. I'm expecting it to be Jactroll and not a funnel comp from Vitality. And that Braum shield against things like Taliyah wall, a Gragas engage, can actually end up being very impactful if it comes to protecting a low mobility backline.
Right, like back in 2017, the last time we really saw Gragas being played widely at Worlds, you know, Braum was a very strong pick because of that Unbreakable. So I do like that move in the draft. It's something I think we've seen a lot more teams doing recently.
Now here's something I want to point out from last game, where we had the Aurelia that is now banned away, picked against the Zoe. G2 eSports have the same situation here, except for Aurelia being available, where they can draft an assassin or like some sort of bruiser that can actually try and kill the Zoe, because they have AP from the jungle, they have AP from top lane with Gragas. There's a lot of picks that I'm hearing rumors of from solo queue that can be used specifically against Zoe.
Yeah, I personally am still a huge fan of the LeBlanc. I don't think we're going to see it today. It's been a while, but in that matchup against the Zoe, anything that can get on top of her and stay on top of her is a fantastic choice, like we saw in that last match in PerkZ.
Here we get the Lucian again. Attila has actually been complaining. He's one of the AD carries complaining when his coach puts him on standard AD carries, but it is happening for Vitality. They like the fact that he can try and win the bottom lane with the Lucian.
Ooh, the Brand. That's an NA special over there. If G2 were going to pick something up and bring it back from Rift Rivals, that was a champion that saw a fair amount of play in the first few weeks of the NA LCS and could fit the bill for a mage in the bot lane.
Especially if they again want more AP damage to potentially set up a physical damage dealer in the mid lane. We still have to see what's happening with the last pick for PerkZ.
All right, 20 seconds is going to separate it here. They'll have to get that final pick on the board. You mentioned some solo queue stuff, Deficio. What are you thinking?
I think this might actually be a funnel here for G2. The smite is on PerkZ. This could be that funnel Taliyah you were talking about. There's still a lot of different options they can go towards.
Because now with the Alistar, it's not Shen support. Shen has to then go towards either the jungle in a funnel or go to the top lane. And in this case here, it is actually setting up to be Taliyah mid for PerkZ in a funnel draft. G2's going back to what's worked so often for them during the split. But it's a very magic-heavy composition.
Exactly. That's my concern here, because usually when you're funneling something, it would be like the Kai'Sa, and then you have a mage in the bot lane, so there's a little bit more damage diversity. It's going to be a little bit easier for Vitality to itemize against it, but that would be assuming they picked tanks, which they didn't.
Right. There's obviously still a few magic resist items you can get, at least like one per champion that can be very, very useful for you and will give you a small edge, but it's not a massive, you know, tank composition with a Mundo who's just stacking 5 million magic resist. So G2 Esports might not care too much about the lack of physical damage on their side.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the case. Now, I 100% think it's going to be Gragas in the top lane for Wunder. I like this matchup against the Rumble, just having the ability to all in if your duo, if your hyper carry and that support come on up and gank. But also, Shen plus Taliyah is an insane burst combo in those early levels if you land just a single taunt.
The moment you get taunted, and it's going to be a taunt flash at some point, you cannot dodge it. You get knocked back instantly and you will die. Because here's the thing about Funnel Taliyah. It is hard to execute, but that Taliyah will get so far ahead, and her burst damage, her ability to snowball a game, not only in the potential skirmish, but also with ulting to the side lanes, is probably the strongest, together with Kai'Sa, of all the funnel comps you can do. It just requires great execution from the Taliyah play itself, and it's PerkZ playing it.
What more can you ask for? Put it all on PerkZ. That is the G2 Esports strategy that has worked out so well for them. But on the other side, Vitality are hungry for that win, and they have a lot of scary tools, a lot of damage dealers. The Zoe in the mid, the Rumble in the top, even the Lucian. There's a seriously scary team fight. Yeah,
there's always the concern too here if you are G2. When you have the funnel composition, your side lanes usually don't get that much assistance. And against an early game jungler like Gilius on this Trundle, we've seen him do nasty, nasty things with in the past. The ball is in his court to make the plays.
We'll see if he's able to make that happen. Can he be the hero Vitality needs to surge them up through the standings, or will the Taliyah funnel be the key to victory for G2 Esports? It starts right now.
And if you're just tuning in, you have not been watching a lot of LCS so far, funnel is the word you're going to hear a lot. It simply means all the focus is on giving PerkZ the farm, giving him the gold. Jankos effectively is just next to him, and he's not going to take anything for himself. He's just here to provide safety and more farm for PerkZ.
Exactly, and this is a strategy that actually goes all the way back to Twisted Treeline multiple years ago.
Oh, you love that one.
I love me some Twisted Treeline. Basically, the idea is you take two streams of income. That means minions in the mid lane and monsters in the jungle, and you have one player absorb both of that. That's why we're going to see PerkZ farming mid lane and then having Jankos leash him in the jungle.
And I promise everyone, we will try not to overuse the word funnel. If we have to say it too many times, we have to change the word. And then we have to find different words during the count.
I've got one for you, man. I call Jankos the butler.
There you go. That
follows PerkZ around and feeds him.
They're trying to get him fed. For now, it is a level 1 invade. This is one of the answers to this strategy. If you can go in level 1 and deny the first camp, at least slow them down, it can actually set them a bit behind.
Especially when you have the Braum, like one of the strongest level 1 characters in the game. Being able to apply CC means that PerkZ is going to be forced out of the area and will slow down that.
And what's important to follow now is how fast Jiizuke pushes mid. Because now that you denied PerkZ the initial buff, you are slowing him down a little bit, and if you can get this wave to hit the turret before PerkZ shows up, he will lose the entire first one. And that's some of the things you're looking for when you play against this draft is how often can you deny him these mid lane waves.
Exactly. He didn't pick up any of the minions, was only in range for the experience on 2 of those, so that's going to be a massive win here for Vitality. And I also have to point out the fact that Jactroll went for teleport down there as a support. That is what let him accompany the rest of his teammates for this invade and let Gilius steal away these camps.
And it was the blue buff taken here. It's not an AD carry, obviously, who can push without mana being ready. For Taliyah, she definitely needs it in the early game.
It is important to note, though, that when you do kill Scuttle Crab, you get a big chunk of mana back. So that's why you see that bump up a little there for PerkZ. And if G2 wanted to be a little bit more risky, they could try to walk into Vitality's side of the jungle and steal away the blue buff. But even without a blue, when you have the Hunter's Talisman, you should be just all right.
Yeah, I mean, they can still do it now. The goal is always go back and push out the mid wave. Like, because you want to constantly balance the jungle camps, they will stay there. They're not obviously going anywhere. But the mid lane wave, if you just allow Jiizuke to sit on his own, will always get crashed into your turret. So it's important you bounce, camp, mid lane, and just keep doing it over and over to maximize the farm. Jiizuke cannot do anything to stop this blue buff.
Also, the funnel rolls on for the time being. And, you know, while we're in this early game, not a whole lot of aggression, it's worth looking back to the standings, seeing where these two teams are, because they are very close to one another right now. G2 Esports and Vitality. Yes, there is a Fnatic separating them based on the results we saw earlier today, but that could all change very quickly.
And you have to remember, for the entire league, this is the final game in the first round robin. So this is where the standings are going to be after every team has played every other team at least once. And with Vitality trying to punish G2's 0-2 week and get that momentum in their favor.
Hey. We had Jankos and Wadid on the Euphoria podcast, available YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes as well, with video and everything. It's crazy. I actually really recommend listening to this one. A lot of great stories, and as you guys can see here, Jankos talking a little bit about Vitality.
Yeah, wanted to predict Vitality to win the game, but then he realized he was the one playing up against them. This team is so good, they have 2 supports, and they both wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, there's actually a hidden Braum combo they talk about.
I wonder if Jactroll watched the episode.
He probably did. Let's see if
That's called scouting, you know, it's important.
If you wonder what it is, effectively it is animation cancelling is what you can do when you W to someone. If you E during the W, so you put up the shield, you actually animation cancel on your next ulti or Q, so it becomes very fast how you can jump in and instantly hit someone with Q or R. And it's something that's hard to react to, but also hard to pull off.
Definitely is the case, and right now we talked a little bit about those windows when you are playing this final comp. It's usually 35 seconds, somewhere around that number, the amount of time you have to get out of the mid lane, go farm camps. So usually you will see teams go for 2 camps on their own, make it back to the mid lane, but remember, they can't help out their side lanes, and Wunder is in trouble.
Yes, he is, level 5, has flash, might need to use it, gets smited down. Let's see, gets a 2-man belly bob here, but he's having to flash, still follow through. There's the time. It's going to be first blood to Jankos. You don't need no smite, the first blood king is back.
I like the play from Vitality to punish the side lanes. At the end, you just said it, it's really hard to defend the sides for G2, but Jankos read that play. He moved up very early from the mid lane and just said, okay, you know what, PerkZ, you go mid alone, I'm not going to follow you. And at least he trades 1-for-1 up in the top lane. Sadly for him, Cabochard did stay alive. He got to push in the first wave, and he's really far ahead at the moment.
Yeah, even before that dive, Cabochard actually had a pretty sizable CS advantage, and you can just see right here, Jankos was finishing off the little wolves so that PerkZ could go back to mid lane and saw this play in movement. Wunder was able to survive for quite some time, getting the healing off his passive and giving Jankos time to get in there for the play.
Just got the first blood. Nicely done by Jankos to really secure that one, make the 1-for-1 trade. So, still relatively even early game as a result, but that might change. Wadid finding Jactroll, knocks him away, lets the channel complete for his bot laner.
Yeah, successful defense there from Wadid, getting Hjärnan back to base. Instantly he can TP back, and that's another thing that's important here is a lot of teams try to punish both side lanes when they play against this strategy where it's all about feeding this mid laner. But in this case here, the bot lane is dead even on the side of G2. That's a win for them, because they don't care about their bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, usually when you have these side lanes, you expect them almost to fall behind a little bit if you are playing this funnel comp. But now I want to see out of Vitality punishing PerkZ. He still doesn't have that Runic Echoes completed, and just looking at where Jactroll is on the map, feels like Vitality have the right idea.
It's so hard for them if they don't actually get the fight to do it, because Taliyah is so fast around the map. Of course, surfing next to the rocks here, as you keep seeing, and that movement speed increase makes it much faster for her to go between mid and camps compared to traditional AD carries again. So Taliyah just snowballs harder, I feel, than most other champions in this specific strategy.
And Vitality, remember at level 1, they were the ones that invaded this side of the map. They stole away the blue buff. Gilius stuck around for some wolves as well to slow down this ramping up from PerkZ, but now they haven't been able to quite replicate that. I haven't seen Gilius counter-jungling any camps away, and it does definitely feel like it's slowed down on the side of Vitality.
Yeah, they're never getting mid lane control because Taliyah is so fast at getting in and pushing out the wave, so that's why, again, we're kind of looking for a fight around it. If they want to try and shut down Taliyah, like, you have to utilize Gilius plus Jiizuke as a combo. Probably even need to move in someone like Cabochard or Jactroll to actually enforce the fight.
But Vitality are very good at doing that. These are the guys that like to just randomly group 5 and shove down a tower when they can. They're a very proactive team, and let's see if they're able to execute on it. Jiizuke does find a ton of damage onto PerkZ. There's a Sleepy Trouble bubble, body block, flash, and ignite. Goodbye.
Ignore the part about needing Jactroll and Jiizuke. Oh, sorry, and Gilius. Jiizuke just did it on his own.
Yeah, you just do it by yourself, get the 1v2 kill. This is not the same Zoe we saw in our last game. This is one that is making the early plays, and I'm telling you, she is so good on this patch.
Well, Jiizuke seems to be doing a little better now, too. All right, now they get to roam into the G2 jungle. Let's see what they can see. I think Wunder knows that he might need to get the hell out of dodge.
Flash on him.
Oh, boy, he's walking on that red carpet. I don't know if he's wanting to, though. Gilius, there's the barrel. He's going to knock in the Trundle, but Jankos comes to the rescue as well, and there's a bit of a wonky fight here. It's Gilius who's going to fall.
It's the second time in this top lane that Vitality have tried to make a play and haven't been able to execute Wunder nearly quickly enough. The assist there from Jankos, who ticked over to level 6, made that play, and pretty poorly there for Vitality.
So this is such a big play from Jiizuke initially that is great for Vitality. It was the player we kind of said we miss Jiizuke of Springs, but the guy who could do things like this. What a great 1v1 player, 1v2 even, against Jankos and PerkZ. But of course Jankos got level 6 right after this and then went top to defend.
Yeah, so unfortunate there for PerkZ too, because he was on no mana. He wanted to recall for his items, and Jankos stepped right out of the way of the paddle start. That was the difference there between PerkZ living and dying.
You have a very good point, though. Zoe, pretty gross on the damage. I mean, literally sitting on Sork shoes and a Doran's ring and doing that much.
That was a full combo, max range and everything. Ended up securing the kill. Wunder, meanwhile, is trying his best to get the farm he can. He has been the target. Vitality have looked towards top lane, not bot lane at all this game. But I think actually the fact that they've been able to keep this turret alive for so long is, again, G2 showing how to defend against this aggression.
Yeah, it's really just the defensive playmaking from G2, although this time there's no one in the area, but Wunder has his flash up again, so he's totally safe up in this top lane, it really does feel like again.
And it's important for him to just stack this early AP for wave clear. Like, put down the barrel, wait it out, let it explode, and just try and stop the wave from ever fully building up towards your turret, because that's when the enemy team tries to tower dive you, every single time. Right,
and it doesn't even matter if Wunder is falling behind in this lane for him, because when it comes to a team fight, PerkZ, Hjärnan, those are the guys that are going to be dealing all the damage for the squad. Wunder is here for the engagements, whereas Cabochard really does need to start building up those advantages more and more.
Exactly, and that's also why we get to see Jankos and PerkZ leave the mid lane and hover towards top side. To simply say we are around in case a fight breaks out, in case you try and dive our top lane, and that's going to make it harder for Vitality to actually snowball Cabochard further. I feel like Jiizuke trying to kill PerkZ is kind of the way to go now if they can't successfully shut down Wunder.
Absolutely. This is definitely looking a little bit rough for PerkZ trying to get that funnel on. Maybe they should have picked the Zoe and tried to do it on instead.
Oh no, he's doing just fine at the moment.
Well, you'll also notice that when you do run this funnel style of composition, you have 2 support items. That means twice the amount of wards are going to be on your map. And right now, G2 have total control over the river. Tons of control wards to make sure that Gilius can't actually enter the jungle or make plays on the individual lanes.
Yeah, and now we are also waiting for Taliyah ulti to be ready. In fact, he can impact side lanes so effectively. It's another big thing. And that's kind of, again, in the funnel comp, like, as long as you're even in the early game, you're doing great, because you have this one player who's going to eventually get ahead, and you just need one fight when he's in it to start snowballing completely.
Yeah, this could be a really good moment for Vitality if they can get the fight.
There's the teleport. They got the knock-up, and it looks like they found the damage they needed to onto Wadid, but teleport does get canceled. Culling gets chunked out by Attila. Not enough damage to actually finish the fight. It looks like they didn't quite go where they wanted to.
Oh!
And the taunt onto the Zoe. PerkZ getting revenge.
Just waiting for that moment when Jiizuke overstepped his boundaries. Jankos ready to pull the trigger and actually keep looking for a dive in the bot.
There's the Weaver's Wall. Attila, he dashes over, and Jactroll jumps right behind him. He does force the retreat.
Yeah, not the combo you can actually catch with that one. PerkZ, however, got that kill. Second for him in the game. Bot lane turret will take a bunch of damage as well. Actually, Attila and Jactroll can TP back to defend it.
Yeah, and I believe we'll have to check it again if there's a replay. But yeah, this is important. Two teleports coming in. They want to be able to trade turrets, and actually, there's not even a trade on the other side.
Classic Vitality trying to speed the game up after they make a little bit of a mistake, but there's going to be a match teleport from Hjärnan on that Brand. He comes out, helps clear the wave, and it looks like the push is stymied.
No turrets dying.
Everyone has teleport, so nothing gets to happen.
Everyone wants to defend. I assume Jactroll gets interrupted by the ulti from Wunder. Fires him away. Ward just gets him in vision. Right, there's a control ward on the other side. They would have seen it no matter what.
And that was going to be such a good team fight for Vitality, because you have this Rumble with the Oblivion Orb, all of that early magic penetration to get that team fight damage in a tight corridor. But because of that play there from Wunder, it completely stopped Vitality's playmaking effort.
One of those moments. You feel like, come on, I'm in the river. Surely I'm far enough away from him, but you're standing on 2 wards. He's going to see you. It's a play from before where it's a good start. With that TP you just talked about, Ender here could potentially be huge for them. Great flash from Wadid to get over the wall. It's a tricky one to pull off, and they defend initially. And this is where Jiizuke needs you to step away.
Yep, he was looking for a paddle start maybe onto Wadid. He didn't have the right idea there, though, and Jankos certainly did.
This is one of the few moments we get where it's a relatively quiet game, so let's take the time to actually compare how these teams typically have been doing in the early games. It's actually been fairly even, just like this game, but for very different reasons. G2 tend to rely, when they're not funneling, on just superior laning, whereas Vitality like to get all them objectives.
Right. You will notice, though, that all the top teams in the league follow a very similar formula. It's all about the early game, building up advantages, not just in laning phase, but also from the rest of your team, as Cabochard gets into a tough situation.
Some of those kills as well. Gilius is coming in. There goes the equalizer, and they can't quite get the shove on. Here we go. Gilius going forward, but he's got 3 members of G2 on him, still hanging tough. PerkZ tanking tower shots. He's actually going to walk away from this one very close. Wunder does not get hit by the Sleepy Trouble bubble, but he can't quite make it over the wall before Cabochard equalizes him.
That was supposed to be such a big play. Top lane, though.
Still happening with the 2v2. Wadid and Hjärnan taking a lot of damage off that culling. Pyroclasm not doing enough, but Jactroll is forced out of this fight. A lot of action and only 1 kill across the board.
Big win bot lane for Vitality. That looked like an easy, at least flash being forced away from Cabochard. He ended up walking out initially. Knockback not actually hitting him. And then the turnaround. Gilius walks in front of the entire team and just starts smacking away.
Yeah, I thought
G2.
Gilius was out of his mind when he flashed in the middle of those 3 members, but he saw that the turret aggro was onto PerkZ and knew he could force him out of the fight entirely.
So 3v1 initially. Jiizuke is not here. He's just moving from mid now. Cabochard does not need to flash. He just walks out of this one. Damage onto PerkZ, and look at Gilius. Right now, he's fighting on his own, but he's staying alive long enough because Shen is ulting, not dealing damage. Wunder obviously doesn't have a lot of damage on his side. And plus, with the turret, G2 simply couldn't kill anyone. They end up losing that little fight. That was a big moment.
That's the fight that Vitality were looking for earlier with that teleport from Cabochard. They're more than happy to make these plays while they're still relatively even with PerkZ, because PerkZ hasn't been able to build up that massive advantage just yet with all the farming he's been doing.
Right, and the Vitality members starting to stack up a little bit too. You see some of these item buys coming through. The Zoe, of course, has the Luden's Echo. Attila has his Blade of the Rune King, and well, that Rumble is not going to be doing any shortage of damage. Merlin Nomicon completed on top of his Merc Treads. And he's got those 2 kills, and Wunder trying to steal away his own red buff, but Gilius gets the smite down in the end.
Didn't get it. Meanwhile, top lane turret taking some damage from G2, but bot lane turret should go down in favor of Vitality. Very even game so far. 2 of the top teams in Europe fighting it out. Oh, he gets a taunt.
Okay, PerkZ does not get interrupted on the Rift Herald pop, and it looks like mid tower is going to fall pretty soon as well. He's forced away. Jiizuke running around the side, and that's first tower.
Losing that mid lane turret is very important here for G2 to be able to knock that one down. Now they're the ones that have the priority and can rotate into this top lane and look for the fight.
Weaver's wall's up. Attila and Jactroll once again caught, but they dash over the wall once again. Tower falls in the bottom. Let's see if this fight anything comes with. They do get a knock-up. They found the Braum. Attila still untouched in the back, and there goes the Glacial Fissure down. He flashes away. Teleport. G2, maybe they've bitten off more than they can chew here. Cabochard coming in, and he lays down the big equalizer. Jiizuke hopping the wall, not able to find the execution damage, but Wunder and Wadid will surely get boiled down to nothing.
Second time.
Oh!
He gets him.
All right, that's the Zoe damage, so it ends up being a 3-for-0, and we're not done yet.
This keeps happening, though. G2 are trying to force a play where it's PerkZ and the Taliyah going to a side lane, and then everything backfires. They can't kill any member on Vitality, and then all the players just end up showing up for the fight.
The difference maker for me is that the first seismic shove hasn't been landing. If those land right there onto Attila and Jactroll, G2 immediately blow them up, but instead he throws it out a little bit too early. They're both able to dash away to safety, and then they stick around after that, and that's the key mistake.
Oh, big turnaround. Let's see it again. So PerkZ, he knows when he ults in here, Lucian can dash over and Jactroll can follow. So now you can step away if you're G2, but because he gets hit by that Q, there's a chance Vitality can trade with him. And of course, G2 have 5 members here. They feel confident fighting.
Yeah, that was a great flash there from Attila as well. He almost got double knocked up by the headbutt, but as soon as Cabochard and Jiizuke enter on into this fight, they're able to punish the 2 members under the turret and let Jiizuke go for the continued kill.
Oh, he got the bubble onto Hjärnan. He was asleep when he actually died. Second time as well, where there's a turret still standing when G2 are trying to run away from the fight. So they have to run past this turret here. Some of them will be taking damage for it. They can't, there's really no escape plan. It's all in, get the kill, then get the turret. When the first part backfires and they don't get the initial kill, everything falls apart.
Yeah, and you have to remember, too, that G2, it's going to take them longer and longer to get these kills because they all end on this magic damage style of composition. Now there's so much MR coming through. The Hex Drinker for Attila in the bottom lane, Mercury Treads on 4 out of 5 members. That's really tough to start dealing with now in the mid game.
And let's not forget that G2 are trying to play Vitality's game. Vitality are the guys that like to deathball as 5, and they play it really well. So we know that they're going to be confident enough to take these team fights, and as a result, and here we are. Good lead for Vitality, even though G2 did manage to push down the turret in the top.
But that really is the big thing for Vitality, how it's the individual mechanics that's actually keeping them, you know, in this game here, doing these fights. It's not making a great team call or anything to defend. It's actually just outplaying the initial engage and then turning it around.
Just like that. Here we go. They do get the seismic shove, though. Cabochard gets knocked down to half his health. Pyroclasm not going to do nearly enough damage. Vitality still scattered as G2 are trying to get the chase down. Jiizuke does take a chunk out of Wadid's health bar. Turn it around with that equalizer. Perks and Hjärnan, they're going to bring the Shen. Let's see. Cabochard's going to flash the wall. Not going to fall just yet. Here comes Attila and Jactroll. But down goes Gilius and Vitality. They were just a little too late to regroup.
Yeah, Vitality thought they had the flank coming in with Attila and Jactroll, but there were just more members of G2 in the area. Still, though, looks like Vitality wants something.
Now there's a calling on Jankos. He's going to tank almost all of it in the back. Jactroll, Attila still want to take this fight. 2v3. And Wadid, where is he going?
They spotted him on that control wall.
Oh, no.
So he should not be getting out, but can he make a big play here?
He might be able to do it. Look at the rest of G2 nipping at the heels of Vitality. Cabochard a little bit low himself, and he can't quite land enough damage. Oh, Wadid does not want to go for that kill, but Jiizuke certainly does. Turn it around. Sleepy Trouble Bubble not going to land, and Cabochard, he's making sure that he's going to char Wadid now, but there's the flash, and he gets away.
Oh, he actually flashed away from it. Cabochard did not get the kill. In the end, Wadid stays alive. That was another big engage. This game here, it's insane.
Wadid actually just dodged every single harpoon in that fight, but you notice Vitality, they're trying to stall this one out to buy time for their duo lane. Their duo is so far away. They're trying to go for the flank inside this corridor because PerkZ and Hjärnan, the 2 carries, are singled off from the rest of the team, but they couldn't quite make the turnaround work because Wunder came in to save those.
Also that Shen ulti from Jankos this time, saving PerkZ. Let's see what happens. We're out of the replay, so I'm instantly expecting another fight. Everything so far has been started by G2. It's been PerkZ on the Taliyah, jumping in with ult, and then all of his team trying to collapse with him. Vitality's been able to fight back multiple times. Lost the last one. Not a massive loss, though.
Yeah, Vitality are the ones with control over the map at the moment, but still feels like fights are breaking out seemingly randomly. It's like see person in side lane, kill person in side lane. Every single time there's an opening, these teams are willing to make the plays.
I mean, G2 probably still feel like they need to keep doing this before too much MR gets stacked on the other side. Void stuff coming in very early from PerkZ. Obviously makes a lot of sense with the items we see from Vitality already. Gilius is not where he wants to be yet in terms of his items. He's 0-3. He's not been able to get a lot of gold on his side, but he's going to be the one tank stacking a ton of MR.
Absolutely is, but right now my eyes are on Cabochard because he's the man that got such a big advantage in the laning phase, sitting at 3-0-1 at the moment, and is all the damage in this team fights, it feels like.
You also got to keep an eye on Attila down in the bot because he's drawing pressure away here. G2 have sent Wunder down, and he does not have teleport up. If Vitality want to try and force a fight close to that Baron.
Well, remember, if they do manage to get the fight, ulti from Cabochard when the enemy team is coming from the jungle to try and stop you. Ooh, it's perfect. You can land it so easily on multiple members. And PerkZ's Taliyah typically does not want a full-on grouped 5-on-5. Like, you actually want to be able to catch some people out, land one CC into a knockback, and you just instantly one-shot someone. Harder to do in a big 5-on-5 where you got to run away from an equalizer and 3 to 4 players trying to kill you.
Right, it brings up an interesting conversation because I feel like mage compositions in team fights are very different to that of a marksman, because you look at a champion like Lucian, that's a ton of consistent DPS. When you have Brand and Taliyah on the other side, it's much more about splitting up fights, looking for picks, and using your windows of power where you have your cooldowns and abusing those, because there are definitely drought periods when those abilities aren't ready to use that you can just absolutely get taken down during.
It always feels great at the start of the fight as a mage when you use all your abilities. Then you have 5 to 10 seconds where you're just kind of dancing around, not really able to do a whole lot, and you're kind of waiting for the enemy to do something.
Is that what you do when you're waiting for someone to engage in you, Deficio?
I just dance around, baby.
Right in the middle of the lane, okay.
I play Zyra, I have plans. I don't need anything else. can always deal damage.
Yeah, well, we've seen what happens to Zyra that stands still too long when there's a Zoe in the game.
Yeah, and that's probably one of the reasons we don't really see her much in pro play. She's so easy to kill. This game, she's not in it. Instead, it is 2 tanky supports with the Braum and the Alistar.
The rest of G2 now the ones in control. It's so interesting still seeing Attila in the side lanes because this is basically top Lucian at this point. You know he's going to be strong in a 1v1 matchup. He's built up MR that's going to be super effective against Wunder or whoever ends up matching him in the side lane. And you can continue to put a ton of resources into him, stack him up so he can be this late game really important threat on the side of Vitality.
Vitality are controlling the Baron area. This is the big obvious objective for them to try and secure so that they can start pushing as this fight. And they've also got a critical Mountain Drake, the only dragon that's been taken this game.
Wadid is coming down to the bottom lane here.
Uh-oh, Hex Flash. Attila. Let's see if he's able to get out of this one. Got to be careful. No, he does get knocked and bopped. Flashes a little bit later. He does pop himself. A Culling gets interrupted by the big barrel of Wunder, but meanwhile, this is a sacrifice. Vitality. Oh, wait a second. It looks like he actually gets away, but meanwhile, over at the Baron, the Weaver's Wall is going to cut off the Zoe. And look at PerkZ around the back of the pit. They have forced Vitality off the Baron.
And right now, Wunder is recalling. He might actually look for a teleport to come into the fight. That is, unless Vitality go in.
Flash Pillar forces Hjärnan's flash as well, and there we go. The equalizer a little bit late perhaps, but here we go. Jactroll flashing forward, gets the Glacial Fissure. Hjärnan is going to fall. Vitality, they're turning 180 degrees right now, straight back to the Baron pit.
Gilius had one goal in mind when he flashed forward. That was to get the flash from the Brand, so then suddenly his team can actually follow up and kill them. They were lacking some hard engage otherwise to turn and start the 4v5 team fight at that Baron. Did not happen. Attila did manage to actually win the 1v2 bot lane. That's a big one for him. Keep in mind, there's not a lot of damage on Wunder. The damage he does bring is magic, and has so much MR already on this AD carry.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the lack of hard engage, but an equalizer on top of a target who doesn't have a flash, that is instant death there for Hjärnan, and he's going to be out of that cooldown for the next 4.5 minutes.
Oh, Cabochard could be in a little bit of trouble as he stayed for that red buff, flashing forward to help secure that kill as his team takes the dragon. PerkZ and Jankos didn't want to give anything up for free.
They spotted him in the jungle. Cabochard did not manage to flash away in time. Around the mid lane now.
Here comes Wadid once more. Jiizuke, oh, the flash and the knockup. Jiizuke is going to flash away himself, but right into the waiting hands of Wunder and Hjärnan. Portal jump, but he comes right back and he's deleted. Wunder bops him.
And now it's G2 with the advantage, 5 versus 3 on the map. This is the opportunity for a power play. Do they go over to the Baron, though? That is the question in the mind of G2, and I think that answer is yes.
Looks like it. Gilius, Jactroll, Attila all in the area, but will they be able to contest or even heal G2 eSports off this Baron? Here it goes.
5 seconds on Cabochard. TP's ready. His ulti's ready as well. This is going to be a bit risky because he's going to join the fight as fast as possible. He's on his way now.
Here comes Wadid. He gets stopped up by the Winter Spy, but the teleport's coming in. It will finish the channel. They do get the stun up. They do get the Glacial Fissure, and on top of it, they also throw down the equalizer. Wadid is burning away, but I don't think Vitality have enough damage to finish the job here. Wunder goes in with the Shen shield. PerkZ gets an unstoppable kill, and all of a sudden, Vitality in full retreat, but they're melted through.
Great shot calling from G2. They know we don't need to finish the Baron. Do not stand 5 men together against the Rumble. Instead, turn around and instantly look for the fight. Wadid is currently the MVP for me. Always finding the engages here. He even stayed alive during that entire fight.
Yeah, I mean, he perfectly set it up right there on the flank to wait until Vitality walked too far forward inside this tight choke point. Even though Vitality, they got the ultimates down that they wanted. They layered Braum on top of Equalizer, but it wasn't enough. The damage of PerkZ and Hjärnan in this fight was just too much.
Also, Wunder getting on to Attila in the back line. He forced that flash earlier from the fight in the bot lane. Managed to get him back into a Brand ulti that's flying around between 5 players or 4 players on Vitality side. We're right back into the action. Now, Baron has started another TP coming.
Okay, Blast Cone pops. No chance for Jiizuke to use that to get over the wall here. Baron's already down half health, and Jiizuke trying to harass, push them off for just a second. This could be tense, but the barrel is going to separate. Jiizuke a little bit late to try and get that last second paddle start, but will G2 be able to get out of dodge with the Baron buff in tow? Not Wadid. Attila shuts him down. Looks to go over that wall, but he decides better of it for the time being. He's still trying to run.
They really wanted to keep this one going. They're looking for the picks on the back end of it, but G2, with Wadid sacrificing himself, were able to escape.
You're not getting anything for free in this game here. Whenever you go for any sort of objective, there is suddenly 5 players from the other team just around ready to fight. Here for Vitality, did not manage to get in range to actually stop the Baron. Look for the fight right after and only got Wadid. Can they get anything else? There's a red buff. Not exactly the trade you want to get.
No, but not wasting any time. Vitality looked to try and set up maybe a bait brush here, but it's not going to happen. This game has been so incredibly close from the get-go.
Yeah, this is 4v5 in case Vitality can actually get the fight. Rumble ulti is ready, but once again, they need someone who can start it. It's going to have to be Jiizuke landing a bubble, a Cabochard's long-range ult. No one else can actually do it for them.
And if you're watching these team fights, it is so hard to play them out if you're Attila on this low-range character like Lucian. If he's ever stepping into the face of a Brand or Taliyah, he's instantly getting blown up. There's so much CC and displacement effects on the side of G2 to really mess up his day that it feels like he really wants to be back in that side lane where he can outplay 2 members. It's just not happening against 5.
Rare moment of quiet as Vitality, 4 members, this Baron buff in tow, trying to make something happen with it. But it's G2 that's actually pushing them in continuously here. Still with the gold lead, but it isn't huge, 2,000 or so. G2 looking for these fights, then they can secure these objectives. But Cabochard's also waiting in the wings.
Every fight so far has been very close. Oh, it's another bubble landing. It's onto Jankos. Meanwhile, this bot lane turret should be the objective. Should go down very quickly as well. Bubble almost landing.
Yeah, Jiizuke has to be landing the bubbles onto PerkZ and Hjärnan, looking for the picks on the 2 carry members of G2.
We have to remember PerkZ, because he's running Smite, there is no Clint on his side. Against the potential bubble, there is no kills either.
No Zhonya's either. He went all in on the damage with the Rabadon's Death Cap. That's a hero cannon minion right there, Pyra.
Yep, well, unfortunately for his trouble, he's going to die to Attila, but that was nicely done for G2 Esports. They secure themselves up that tower, so number 4 for them in this game, and they keep themselves ahead in this. They have the tempo advantage still. Can they keep it, though? You
said when this game started, it's going to be a banger. I said it's going to be a banger.
Yeah?
Andrew said it's going to be a banger.
Yeah, you guys agreed with me. I'm glad.
Whenever that happens, I get so happy.
So was it a banger?
So far, it definitely is. 2 top teams.
That was my interpretation, too.
If Vitality win this game, they tie G2 in the standings. They get even closer towards Misfits at the top.
Gonna have to win a fight for it first, though. PerkZ isolated, however, he has friends. Jankos throws on the shield. He also flashes away. That will be all for now, but they can't secure the tower. You're right, it is oh so important. That's why no one's giving away anything for free this game.
If the bubble ever lands onto PerkZ, it feels like he would get instantly blown up. He has to be absolutely choice with where he positions, and he's throwing it down the wall. Okay, there we go. They've separated them out here. A little bit of a redemption coming out for the Zoe, but no redemption for that tower. Jiizuke pops over the wall, only finds Wunder, and it looks like it's going in! They're going bowling, and it looks like a strike. That's 2 kills, quickly picked up by Hjärnan.
And it's Wadid again starting the fight. Great ulti setup from PerkZ initially to force Vitality to stay around, and then the moment the tower dies, the Alistar flies into the back line, and now Vitality, they can't defend against all the AoE damage coming from a Brand.
It's all about the short, explosive fights here from G2, the damage of Hjärnan and PerkZ, and they're going to get the inhib.
Yes, they are, and I talked about redemption a minute ago. This is very important for them to try and have recovery from their last week, going 0-2. It's rough for a team that's expected to be sitting at the top of the standings. 4-time champions, G2 Esports, now they are knocking on the doors of Vitality's base.
And again, at the start of the team fight, you highlighted Wadid looking for the massive knock-up here on the Alistar. Just take a moment to let it sink in, because it's an insane combo between him with the flash into 3-man knock-up. All of the damage to come through on top.
Such a perfect setup, because if you are Vitality, you can't really get to the backline. You can't get to Hjärnan. He's full HP this fight. PerkZ as well, very healthy. Look at the damage dealt. This is what happens when you get engaged on, you get chain CC'd, and then you're forced to simply run away or just die in this fight here. Good old Jankos as well, adding some value.
He's contributing, I think. Not really sure at this point. 0 damage.
I mean, he is motivating the team with that secret.
Yeah.
He didn't want to.
That's true. This is the battle.
Carry over.
This is the battle for the secret. I saw Vitality tweeting out they wanted to keep the secret hidden, but right now it looks like G2 are going to be revealing that one after this match.
If G2 win, Jankos will reveal the secret according to Mike Check.
Yeah.
I guarantee you it's going to be some completely stupid secret.
Like, I hate playing Braum. Is that even a secret?
Is it a
No, he's actually said it on record, so I don't know if that one counts. But it's a good motivator for the team, clearly helping them step up in this one. Now that gold lead ballooned up to 6,000 ahead. Of course, we're still 30 minutes into this game. G2 still sniffing around, but they might want to try and close this out on a Baron buff, which is coming up in a minute and a half.
Well, that is also another fight then for Vitality to take with the Rumble ult. Again, we keep highlighting this, but Their ways of starting fights is long range, bubbles or rumbles, or Jactroll with flash. And it's available now if he wants to go for it. Otherwise, they are relying on G2 to make the first play and get the initial jump.
There's nearly that face check, though.
Here
Looks like PerkZ gets caught into the wall, and there goes the equalizer down. He's protected up by Gilius, but there's the taunt. Where's the rest of Vitality? They've not gotten into collapse, but G2 have run out of damage.
Jiizuke just barely off right there on the paddle star. He needs to be connecting these skill shots because right now, Vitality have to make every single play work out to win a fight.
Here comes Jiizuke, looks for PerkZ, not able to find him. The minion was intercepting, so the tower is going to fall. Here comes Jactroll if he wants to try and make that big play. Stops on the seismic shove, and that's
no
it.
Flash on PerkZ here. There is an opening. If you have to flash engage from a Braum, sadly for them, after actually a good setup with the pillar keeping PerkZ in place, equalizer did come down, but there were enough members around and a locket from Jankos to protect PerkZ.
It's just so difficult to engage onto this Taliyah when she has 3 big beefy tanks / supports to protect from her, eat all the sleepy bubbles as well, and make sure she stays safe.
That flash is ready in what, minute and a half at this point. Baron will be alive before that. Again, I keep saying this, but I want to highlight the flash engage from the Braum. If you are Vitality, you're not winning when the enemy team is engaging onto you. We've seen a few fights go in favor of G2 because of that. Vitality can only hit Wadid in the front line or Jankos, not the targets they want. If they get the jump on Taliyah, that is the way to win this game.
Yeah, with the equalizer on top of the flashless target. We talked about that earlier in this game. Spellbinder on top of that Rumble build and everything. There's so much damage to try and knock down PerkZ. And for G2, they want to speed this up a little bit as well, I feel like. 6 items on this Taliyah. I mean, she's not getting much stronger.
If Vitality start the Baron here, they can force the TP. Wadid, however, is just a bit north of the Baron, hiding in that little brush near the top lane. He's not spotted.
Ooh.
Baron is started. He's trying to go for a flank.
I love this from Wadid.
Teleport. Okay, puts the ward down. You can instantly hear that Vitality are aware of what's happening in the but there's a big knock-up from Wadid. Where's the damage? G2, the rest of them have yet to respond. Jiizuke being chased out by PerkZ, but the rest of the team is fighting. Equalizer thrown down as well as the Braum ultimate. Vitality still healthy, but are they healthy enough with the Pyroclasm? Wadid goes back in, and they completely demolish the health bar of Attila. Now G2 continuing to push on this one. Cabochard, Jactroll, Gilius desperately trying to limp away, but G2 not the healthiest themselves. Can Gilius make his escape? I don't think so. Looks like a one-way trip. Hjärnan takes himself a kill. Quietly stacking those up all game. He'll find one more. Jactroll jumping back to Cabochard, but G2 on the offensive.
And the jungler from Vitality is down. This is G2's opportunity to move back in to that Baron buff. There's minions in mid lane and bottom lane.
Oh, a little drowsy there. Jiizuke, he did find himself a bubble, but it was more trouble than it was worth. He's going to have to walk it out.
Looks like Vitality might get a second chance here. Baron will go down, but not the Nexus, despite super minions already being close to the turrets. G2 win the fight. It was a weird start.
Yes, it was.
Wadid hiding behind the Baron. He ends up engaging just with Wunder and no one else around. But because he's Alistar, he can buy enough time for the team to join. And PerkZ did not...
Jiizuke. Oh, man, he flashed over. Let's see if he can get that bait off. It looks like Jankos can actually follow him.
Well, he does lose the flash in the process. Didn't want to have that happen to him, but at least he'll stay alive. Now Vitality have the bigger issue, which is defending against this G2 siege with the Baron buff.
You gotta fight your way out if you are Vitality. The last one here, they never got onto PerkZ when the flash was down. They never secured the kill onto him. Had to just try and use it a bit defensively.
Well, I'm glad that Jankos' peer is giving him some encouragement for his new role.
Exactly.
I don't know. Wadid's been playing really good
That is actually completely true. I want to know when Xerxes tweeted this, because I think he may want to change his mind.
I mean, they've both actually been doing really well. Jankos' Shen is pretty clean. I got to give him that.
Yeah. And they're pushing it in. Speaking of clean. Now inside the base of Team Vitality, open inhibitor season. Let's see if they're able to get any more done. It looks like Vitality want to try and flank him, but Cabochard's got to be careful with it. Is going to get the knock-up onto the Cabo. And the taunt, they've taken down the Braum. Jactroll not going to get that Braum ultimate out this time around. Wadid is getting burned, and the culling comes through, but he flashes away. Jiizuke now targeted out by 3 members of G2, and PerkZ gets a dominating kill on his opposite number, and the fight keeps going.
G2 just keeps winning these fights here. They're playing him so well. It's always with Wadid starting the fight, and then he gets the follow-up from his carries here. They look straight for the Nexus.
Looks like that's all they need to take. Still some long death timers. Gilius, Attila, Cabochard trying to hang on, but that's going to be one tower falling. Wunder doesn't care about tower shots. He bowls right on forward. Rest of Vitality scattered, not able to find anything in this one. Still more damage taken on this tower. Wunder forcing back Attila. It's a dance back and forth, but there just isn't any damage on the Vitality side. G2, they see the win in their eyes after an 0-2 week, looking for redemption, but looking for kills before all's said and done. Hjärnan's going to take a godlike kill as Jactroll comes back up, only to wave goodbye to this game. G2 Esports open their week 5 with a victory over Vitality.
That was a banger, Pyra. I can 100% sign off on that. Almost 40 minutes on the timer, but it's G2 with the funneled Taliyah that came out on top.
Yes, and it looked tense for a little bit of that. I was a little bit concerned when Vitality were going into the jungle, keeping PerkZ down, when he got 1v1'd in the mid lane by Jiizuke, but G2 Esports, no need to panic. They just turn it right back around.
Yeah, Vitality put up an incredible fight to try and stop that. Jiizuke performing so well in that mid lane, but when all was said and done, the setup in the team fights from Wadid, always seeming to find the flank and find the multi-man knockup, was really the difference maker for me in this match.
Yeah, it seemed like at a certain point, Vitality weren't necessarily able to stack up the ultimates in the way they would have liked because G2 were forcing their hand, forcing the fights wherever they wanted. And it seemed like this game was all about who had the tempo.
Yeah, it absolutely was, and you saw multiple moments in that game where Attila would go into a side lane and try to outplay, try to build up an advantage for their team, but then G2 would just group up and force these explosive team fights where they had all the burst damage from this massive PerkZ in the mid lane.
That's the thing, you look at Taliyah and you're kind of like, okay, so, you know, it's a champion that creates terrain, that can move around the map really fast. I don't think burst as much, and then at that point he just like chucks a rock at Jiizuke's head and he just dies. Like, okay, yeah. It works.
It's like
the funnel Taliyah works.
You don't need to throw another rock if you actually just one-shot someone with that damage.
Yeah, kill 2 carries with 1 stone.
Yeah, that's, well, not anymore because it's only single target. Yeah.
It works for paddle stars, but unfortunately for Jiizuke, he didn't find nearly enough of those. He was doing well. I do want to give some credit to Jiizuke this game because this wasn't the Jiizuke getting bodied in lane that we'd, seen occasionally out of the Vitality squad in the summer split. He's not quite at the level where he's going to be solo carrying at this point.
I don't know, man.
He's playing better.
He was pulling off some 1v2s in the mid lane, right? You saw that solo kill onto PerkZ. That was very impressive out of him. It just felt like the team-wide effort was more solidified on the side of G2. They definitely took their time after that 0-2 week to prepare, come back stronger, and really have a fantastic game plan.
It was definitely a bummer for Vitality, but G2 certainly looking like the better team on the day. Now, we've got PerkZ, Hjärnan, and Wadid fighting to secure that player of the game vote. So be sure to let us know who you think should win it at LOL Esports on Twitter. And again, it's always comes down to this. Like, yes, it's a funnel composition, but PerkZ isn't going to be solo carrying that one. I want to see just like vote for the best support. Yeah, I actually want to know now.
Yeah, you have to decide what's more valuable, all the damage you're dealing or setting up some insane team fights.
Absolutely. Now, that is going to be it for day 1. Let's go ahead. We've got tomorrow some excellently huge matchups. Let's go ahead and take a look at that as Fnatic and Misfits will face off in our match of the week. That's the one I'm keeping my eye on, Ender. Anything else excite you here?
Oh, honestly, this whole day, even like Schalke against Unicorns of Love, like which team is going to be able to make it in towards playoffs? H2K, will they be able to turn things around, fighting against another team equal towards them in the standings? There's so much parity between these teams that are facing off against each other tomorrow that we've got 5 really good games across the board.
We certainly do. Also, though, just like, especially with the match of the week, like now that Misfits have done the 9-0, Fnatic are their first team to come right back around. Can they be the one to end the winning streak? I don't know, man. Misfits are scary.
Well, see, for Fnatic, it's not even ending the winning streak of Misfits. Misfits have just beaten Fnatic in the last, like, 4 games they've played against each other. It is a long streak that goes all the way back to the spring split. So there's definitely some pride there for Fnatic they want to regain.
I think that's definitely fair, that they need to be able to try and get back on the board. But, I mean, what do you do against that Misfits team? We saw how flawless they were executing today. And the whole split, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the scary thing. Every single lane looks fantastic, top to bottom. Alphari, the unsung hero, stepping up to the plate, doing what his team needs to do. And every other member making a case for being the best in their position in the EU LCS.
All right, now that is going to be tomorrow. But let's check in with Medic and see what he has to say with Hjärnan and Wadid after that last game.
Thank you very much, Pyra. I am joined by Hjärnan and Wadid. Congratulations on the win, guys. Best bot lane in the West. Both of you having claimed that title. We saw Wadid bring the belt out on Euphoria. You played Brand Alistar this game, which is a pretty dirty lane to play into if you're playing against it. What was it that made you pick those 2 champions specifically, Wadid?
Still, the AP damage dealers are like way more stronger than ADCs, so that's why we picked. But I don't think it was that good picks from us because it was pretty hard to play against Braum and Lucian and Rumble as a brand. Hjärnan was like crying, so...
What the fuck?
So did you actually struggle in that matchup? Was it a difficult matchup for you to play? Because Brand is very low mobility, so it can be hard to get out of those situations.
I mean, I think lane is just like you just need to reach level 5, I think, and then you can just wave clear pretty easily. Like it's like any other mage, right? Like 6 and all that stuff, so it gets really easy, right? And early game, level 3, we're also pretty strong because of Alistar level 3 and Brand level 3 with a lot of damage. So I think we were fine. It's harder to play like mid game because if one Rumble ult and another flash is really good on me, it's really hard for me to like escape, or I can get like they can catch me really easy, right? And that's basically why it's hard in this one. But we were not the best draft, I guess, but it was still fine.
Yeah, I mean, you still took the win in the end, so you should be pretty happy with that. Talking about how things have been a little bit up and down for you guys recently. Last week was a 0-2 week coming off the back of Rift Rivals where you performed relatively well. What was it about you as a team that meant that you weren't able to take the wins last week?
Personally, like everything was bad at that week, and then right now it's like we are just stable a bit around our team and just practice-wise. And then right now it's like getting stable, but still like really struggling. We are just still really struggling compared to like early season. So we still should look for stabilize a bit around scrims and solo queue and sleep schedule, but it's getting better for sure.
Right, can I push you guys just a little bit? We hear often people struggling in the mid portion of the season, that things aren't the same as they were at the early portion. What is it specifically that you guys actually struggle with when it comes to getting through this sort of mid-season dip?
I mean, for us, like Rift Rivals, first of all, I got sick, so we had really bad practice there. So we had like 1 week that was like really, really bad. And then we came back home, and then Jankos was sick, so we had like 2 weeks of like kind of tilting practices where we like, it just felt like we went back a bit in our like strategies and how we play the game. And right now it just feels like everybody is healthy again and nobody is sick, and our like sleep schedules are like more on point. We don't like wake up at 6 in the night and stuff like that, you know, from the Rift Rivals. So, I mean, I don't know. It feels like it's going to the right direction now again, at least.
Kind of just needed that reset after coming back from NA, which is understandable, you know, playing on 60 ping, a lot of lag over there. Anyway, on a happier note, you did get player of the game that game. Congratulations. 50% of the vote on Alistar.
Finally. Oh. I feel like I played so bad, but still I can get the player of the series. That's pretty cool, but...
Basically, you're saying the rest of your team played worse than you did in that game, then, if you think you played really badly.
Thank you guys. Please keep voting me. Like support love is so boring. Like I'm so sad. Like when I play Rakan, like I was played so perfectly, but still you guys like picking PerkZ to being a finaling. Like I just can't believe it. He's just doing nothing. I'm just like comboing so well. But please, like please vote me, please. Thank you.
And on that note, we're going to hand it over to the post-game lobby. Thank you very much, Wadid and Hjärnan. Guys, take it away.